Hey homeschool friends, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I want to go through my new stack of books. The books I keep in my mother's morning basket, I guess I decided to call it, but it's really the books I read for myself. Books that inspire me, books that help grow my faith, books that I'm just really interested in and want to learn more about. And what I'm interested in just really kind of ebbs and flows. And so I wanted to share that with you guys. I started this in the summer, so I had a summer morning basket, and now I have an autumn morning basket that I want to share with you guys. So stay tuned if you are excited to see the books I'm including in my little morning basket. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel if you're new here, or welcome back if you've been coming for a while. So like I said, I'm going to go through my little stack here. I have 6 books to share with you, and I'm really excited to get to all of them, and I hope I'm able to. A couple of them I'm midway through, so I'll share that as I go. But to start with the books that I'm reading that are more on the devotional side, I am reading these 2 books. So I cannot remember if I talked about this in my summer pile or not, but I'm picking it back up, so I'm going to talk about it because it's currently on my stack in the mornings. And so that is Jen Wilkins' Women of the Word, How to Study the Bible with Both Our Hearts and Our Minds. You guys, this is a fantastic book. It's very small. It's very approachable. I feel like what I appreciate about Jen Wilkins' writing is just how real and authentic she is, how she admits to the fact that she struggles with wanting to pick up her Bible, or she struggles with understanding it. She also looks to others to figure out what it says as opposed to trying to read it for herself. And that's okay. And I feel like for me, I come and go in seasons of the ability to mentally and emotionally really deep dive into a good Bible study, one where I feel like I'm really connecting, one where I think I'm learning, and a lot of times I'm not there, but I want to be. I feel like that's a desire of my heart. And her book, this little book, is so helpful for that. First for encouraging me that I can do it. That's important. But also for giving me kind of a little bit of a stepwise fashion for how to do it, which I think is also important. I mean, I never went to seminary. I became a believer after college. And so there's a lot of times when I have doubt in myself and I feel like I'm not very good at studying the Bible, but I feel like this book has been really encouraging towards that. And I've read it already through multiple times, but I pick it up again and again when I feel like I want that little bit of kick in the pants / inspiration, both, I guess. So that's one book that's on my stack. The next book is this one, Own Your Life, Living with Deep Intention, Bold Faith, and Generous Love by Sally Clarkson. So like I've said in a couple videos, I've been obsessed with Sally Clarkson, a lot of her parenting books, a lot of her homemaking books, and this is just another one I had on my shelves. I've read it already once, but I was just feeling kind of drawn to it again. I feel like it is a very encouraging book for this season of life where I still have pretty small kids. I feel like life is definitely chaotic at times. It feels like I don't have enough time. I cannot prioritize things. I have all these ideas and goals and things that I can't quite get to. But I love her support in this. And I'm able to see kind of the things inside me that I really want to do, let go of the rest, and then try and be really present in the season I'm in. And I feel like Sally Clarkson has always inspired that kind of an approach in me. So honestly, I feel like I just keep having one of her books in rotation because I just feel like her wisdom is big and I often am in need of it. So I love that book. So that's in my stack. Okay, so now I have, I'll show you this one. So I have this book, Mother Culture, which is kind of another word I could have used for this video, is the idea of mother culture, which this book is by Karen Andriola, and it is about the ideas you have taken on homeschooling. It is like a job. It takes as much time as a job at times. But what do you do to support yourself? How can you make sure you are self-educating as well? And I think that's what this book is about. I've just barely started it, but I love her other book, the Charlotte Mason Companion book. I feel like there's lots of wisdom in there. I always do see the covers of her books and feel like they seem a little old-fashioned, but I don't think you have to love old-fashioned things to enjoy the nuggets of encouragement in this book about how to be really content, be happy, be patient with the current season you're in, and also see it as just a real gift to yourself and a gift to your kids. And then how can you grow? How can you grow as an educator, as a mom, as a wife? How can I grow in those ways that I desire? And so I think this book is kind of about that. I mean, I could be wrong because I have not read it yet. It is in my pile for the month. Okay, so that's homeschooling, that's devotionals, and then I have some other books. So I'll show you my science book first. So I have been listening to this book. So this book has been on my shelf for a while. It's A Short History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson. He has an excellent writing style. I feel like he's able to draw you into what he's talking about in a very approachable way. And a lot of the chapters in here are about science. And not all of the science I completely understand. Like, I really don't understand astrophysics. I really don't understand all of that kind of stuff, but it starts out really interesting. And I just love the way he talks about things. Like, I just finished the chapter on like the size of space, like trying to wrap your mind around like the distance between all of these objects in space, the things you understand, and then the things that aren't quite true. Like when you think about just a common picture of the solar system and how everything's so close. And it's like, oh, that's actually not even close to true. You couldn't put a relative distance between those things on a paper and still have it all on the same paper. And I just found that so very fascinating. And I just enjoy his writing, like I just said. But I've been also listening to it on audiobook. I highly recommend the audiobook. It is narrated by, I'm not sure who it's narrated by, but the man has an English accent, and it just makes everything so much more enjoyable to listen to. And even if you're like, I don't quite understand that, but it sounds very smart. And so I'm just enjoying listening to it as much as I am reading it. So I don't know. I've had that book for a long time, and I've only picked up a couple chapters of it, but now I'm just like racing through it. I'm so interested. So that's just me in science. I will always love science. And so now I have 2 other nonfiction books. So I feel like in the season of life as a homeschool mom, I'm always wanting to learn more myself. And I think it's just because we're in all this stuff and I'm like, oh, I vaguely remember that, but I wish I knew more. I wish I understood more about Cleopatra, or I wish I understood more about whatever it is. And so I feel like it's drawing me into more nonfiction. Like, for instance, this one sounds so good. It's The Light of Days by Judy Batalon. And it's called The Untold Stories of Women Resistance Fighters in Hitler's Ghettos. And it is a nonfiction book. But I've heard amazing things. So what I understand this book to be about is it's about Jewish women in Poland. And it is about how their families were like brutally murdered in front of them. Their communities were destroyed. And these women, and some of them were even teenagers, started fighting back. They started doing like huge resistance work against the Nazis, where they would like, it says they'd smuggle guns in their loaves of bread. They'd have encoded messages in their braids. And they just did some significant work to push up against the Nazis. And these are real people. So the book has like this cast of characters that it will follow. And I like the list there because it'll help me kind of keep it all straight. But these are real people. These are real women who risked their lives to help and to fight back. And I'm so encouraged by that. Actually, I know there is a young reader's version of that. And so if it's good, I'll get that for my kids too, because I just feel like that is so inspirational and just good for them to understand a bit about as well. So I have that book that I'm interested in. And then I saw this one on like, honestly, I can't remember. It was some like reel on Instagram or something like that of just some recent books that had come out. And this one sounded really good. I'm not quite sure what piqued my interest, but it is called We Were Rich and We Didn't Know It, a memoir of my Irish boyhood by Tom Flynn. I mean, I've always been fascinated by Ireland. I went there in college. I loved it. My heritage is Irish, but that's not really what made me pick up this book. I liked the idea of this boy's childhood. I like the idea of having something simple, having something that probably was a lot of work. It looked like he grew up on a farm, and maybe he didn't appreciate the life lessons he was learning at that time, but in hindsight, he realized how much he was given, just the gifts of that childhood, that simpler childhood, that just appeals to me as a mom in this day and age with just so much distraction and so much vying for our attention that some days I do. I just want to escape to the countryside. I just want to get a farm, even though I really don't want to farm. I don't. I just kind of want to step back from the pace of our culture. And homeschooling does help with that quite a bit. I feel not as like tied into stuff and having more of that flexibility to try and give my children a simpler childhood. But I was just drawn into this because that is just on my mama heart, to be honest. And so I just want to read his story. It wasn't too long of a book, and so I just felt like a little memoir would be kind of fun for my autumn morning basket as well. So those are the books I am really interested in picking up this month. Honestly, you guys, I love making this list. I love thinking about the things I want to learn, I want to contemplate and figure out and be able to talk to somebody about. I wish I could talk to people about these books. Sometimes I wish I could kind of almost have like a book group of sorts to be able to talk about some of these things, but then I also know that that might stress me out because I don't want to feel like I'm obligated to read them, but I do want to discuss some of these. So if you guys have read any of these, if you find them interesting, let me know, because I just feel like sometimes as homeschool moms, it's really easy to focus only on our kids and what they're learning and all those good things, but I love to learn too. I am just like an academic at heart. So anyway, enough of all of that. Let me know down below if you have any books that you're reading for yourself, for your own growth in whatever area that looks like for you. It doesn't even have to be the areas I'm interested in, but what kind of books would you include in a mother's morning basket if you had one? And I do encourage you to make one if you would feel so inspired. But anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out a little bit with me while I chat about the books I'm most excited for during the autumn. So like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you want to, and I will see you guys in the next homeschool video. All right, take care.